around and introduce ourselves. So yeah, let us know where you're from, whether you sing in a quartet and a chorus. We'll start with Neat, as you're in my top of my screen.
Oh, hi, I'm Anita and I'm from Phoenix Chorus. I do sing in a fun quartet. We've not gone live yet, as it were, called Q4, and that's made up of, I was a baritone before, and three of my baritone buddies and myself. So it's quite good fun, and it helps you with your parts and things. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you. Esther?
Hello, I sing with Ignite's UK Chorus. I've sung tenor for 17 years now, but I sang baritone for 5 years before that. I've doubled in quartet. My current quartet is called Commotion. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you. Carole?
Hi, I'm Carole from Sheffield Harmony. I'm also in a quartet called Sugar Free. We did once compete in Spain, but mainly we just sing for fun and try and raise lots of money for charity. And I also sing in a 12-part, a smaller chorus that actually is mostly part of Sheffield Harmony. And there's 12 of us. And again, we tend to just sing for charity. There's a story behind the name Sugar Free, should you want to hear it at some point this morning, not now.
Go on, Carole, do it now.
Do it now. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the people I sing with, who are all members of Sheffield Harmony, we've been in quartets before, and it's so hard to think of a name, isn't it? That won't sound silly or sort of boastful, or all the things you worry about in a name. And so we were sitting at Ollie's table in her kitchen, and there was an assembly of things that she'd been using to make tea with, and I started glancing at the things, and one of the items she had said sugar free, and I said, oh, how about sugar free? And we agreed that we quite liked that because it sounded not too syrupy, but quite. But we were a hair's breadth away from calling ourselves May Contain Nuts, which was quite appropriate, actually.
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, me too.
Kind of think about what it's going to sound on stage, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Carole. Louise?
Yes, well, when you hear my quartet name, we don't really care what it sounds like on stage, because I sing with Surrey Harmony Chorus, and I also sing with Oops Quartet. So clearly we're not really that bothered about what people think about our name. And I'm tenor section lead in Surrey Harmony. Sung with them for 11 years now. So I've always been a tenor. I'm just naturally, that just seems to be my natural place. And the thought of singing baritone is quite awful and scary, and I don't think my voice would ever manage that. So I'll stick with tenor, definitely.
Thanks, Louise. Isobel?
Hi, yeah, I'm Isobel, and I sing with the magnificent Heartbeat Chorus. I've sung with them for about 8 years. Current champions, everybody. Still. And I also sing with a quartet called Shortcomings, which only works if you see us, because we're all about 5 foot tall. That title also started as a joke. So we went to the Europeans in Holland, and we happened to be two pairs sharing rooms, and we were walking around the corridors together, noting that everybody else was an awful lot taller than us, and said, we really ought to start a quartet called Shortcomings. So we're quite unusual because we started with the name.
Oh, nice. There's a quartet in Hallmark of Harmony, men's chorus based in Sheffield, who are called Incline. And the bass is incredibly tall, the tenor is very short, and obviously they go down in between, and it's so appropriate. It's great.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Fiona?
Hi, I'm Fiona. I'm from Phoenix Chorus, and I also sing with Footlights, but I am going back to them and seeing if we can change our name to May Contain Nuts.
Yes, going free at the moment. Yeah.
It's so appropriate, I think. So,
yeah, it was.
I have always sung tenor. Again, I think just because that's where my voice sits. I do think as the years go by, I might go down to lead, then probably miss out baritone, and then probably go down to bass. That's me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mariane?
Hi, I'm Mariane. Just ignore the E on the end, it's there for fun. And I sing with London City Singers. I've sung with them, this is going to be my 6th year. I also started as baritone for a few years. That was mainly because tenors was full. We were only a small chorus. But also I do enjoy Barry. I like all the weird notes and the harmonies. And fortunately, a lot of our tenor parts are quite baritone-y because they kind of like switch around a lot. But yeah, I think I've sung tenor now for 2 years, and I'm tenor section lead as well. I sing in a quartet called Interference. We kind of only started at the end of 2019, so all of our plans for last year, singing at convention and IABS, obviously didn't happen, but we still kind of catch up and try and learn things. We did at Christmas, we did an arrangement I did of All I Want for Christmas Is You for our like Christmas concert. So we've kind of sung virtually over the last year.
Thank you. Sharon?
Hi, so I'm Sharon, I'm with Solent Sounds. I've sung with them for, I was just touching up at 29 years. Ooh. Yeah. So always tenor in the chorus. And then I was tenor in a quartet semaphore for a few years. And then we changed round and got a new tenor, and I'm baritone in Chatterbox Quartet. So yeah, I like baritone. I'm drawn towards bass, but I just can't get those very low ones. But one thing I couldn't do is lead.
Yeah,
isn't it? It's the middle bit. So in singing baritone, the high bits, they're absolutely fine. The low bits, no problem. Sometimes the middle bits are the scary bits. Yeah. But yeah, I'm tenor section leader as well, and assistant director, and rules and bylaws, and vice president. So we're a small chorus, so you have to wear many hats.
Well done.
Also kind of half baritone section leader as well, because the other baritone section leader is a really busy woman. She's working, I'm retired. So I have, she could be the baritone section leader, but it's a time issue. So yeah, so I'm half of that. I also stood in for bass section leader as well this week. So
yeah, woman of many talents.
That's the tenor section, you see, talented.
yeah.
Multitasking.
Thanks, Sharon. And Liz?
Oh, hi. Well, I'm wondering how I'm going to follow that actually. But I'm Liz. I sing with Singsational. I've sung with Sweet Adelines for about 16 years, and probably 14 of those as a lead. And I blame Nikki Salt for me moving to tenor, because we had her doing some coaching, and Kirsty and her, their heads were together for a little while, and they were saying, oh, we need a bit more tenor. So they played a little bit of a trick, really, because they were making us sing, it was row, row, row the boat. And they were just saying, right, we're going to sing it, and we're going to move it up, move it up, move it up. And when you're not comfortable anymore, just drop out. And we were singing and singing and singing and singing. And then I looked around and I thought, oh, I'm the only one singing now. even the other tenors had dropped out. So it was like, yeah, I think that's where my voice is more comfortable, actually. And it's really strange because I'd always wanted to be in a quartet, but whilst I'm quite happy in the sort of comfortable surroundings of the chorus, I found trying to sing lead in a quartet was just too much for me, and I just found I used to crumble. But we've started a little quartet. We actually started just before lockdown, as you know, it's really frustrating. And we've only actually performed virtually. We did a little recording, and Kirsty put them together for us back in about May or something last year. But I'm really, really looking forward to, you know, coming out of lockdown and being able to sing, because I mean, I've been singing tenor for 2 years with the chorus, but singing with a quartet is just something a bit more of a challenge. And I think you hear it's just, I suppose, experiencing and hearing the harmonies more in that small group. So yeah, so that's me.
Brilliant. Thanks, Liz. And I best introduce myself as well, I guess. I'm Lisa, and I sing with Vocal Dimension Chorus. I actually started with London City Singers. I sang with them tenor for 5 years, and then I have been singing tenor for 11 years with Vocal Dimension. I'm tenor section lead and team coordinator for Vocal Dimension as well. So again, we're a small chorus, so many hats. I also sing with the Quartet for Effect, and we have a little story behind how we got together that we kind of like to tell people, really. So we had the baritone, bass and lead. They were all in a car and travelling to one of our Christmas functions, and they sang in the car, and we're like, oh, we sound good together. Let's, you know, we need a tenor. So I was walking across the car park, and we're like, oh, there's Lisa. Do you want to be our tenor? So I was like, yeah, all right then, because I'd sung with Liz before, who's the baritone. So we always say they picked a tenor up in the car park on the way to
Very good.
Not worth much, I'm afraid. Only a tenor.
Oh. One of the things I like in a quartet in particular is duetting with the baritone. I just think the tenor and baritone lines always sound really kind of scrunchy together.
Weird.
Yeah,
Sound weird.
Weird but marvellous at the same time.
Yeah.
Do you find you always tune into the baritone line? Because I tend to tune into the baritone line as well and find it a lot easier to find my notes against it.
Yeah, and there's quite a lot of the songs we sing, certainly the tenor and the baritone mirror each other a lot more than the other two parts. So yeah.
I think it varies depending on which song.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
A lot of you have said you've sung baritone. So why, for those of you that have sung baritone, why did you then switch to tenor?
I already had a bass and a lead. I'd always wanted to sing. Like, I'm comfortable in tenor, but I've got a yearning to use my chest register, which obviously you can't do. So when that opportunity came up, I just wanted to go for that, and I couldn't do bass, so can't reach the notes, not great in lead, so I left baritone. Although the first time I was singing baritone after just a couple of years of being with the chorus, just sang it in a tag. Well, tried to sing it, because you know, when you sing tenor, you get used, or any part, I guess, you get used to your place in the chord. You know where you sit, and you know you could almost make it up, couldn't you? You know where you are. And then I tried to sing baritone. I thought, oh, I don't know where I am. I don't know where I should be. Even though I know which notes I should be singing, I can't sing them in here. I don't know where my place is, kind of thing. So I thought, I can't do that. But actually, after a bit of practice, yeah. So yeah, I think if you think you can't do something, just give it a go. Oh, I shouldn't say that, should I? No.
Yeah, I think you're right. I
think it's good for everyone to, like, especially if we start doing like mixed quartets and things like that, you end up singing, people who bass in a women's chorus might end up singing like lead or tenor. I think it's good to like see, and we did there was one year we did how we sung today, and our music director encouraged us to learn all of the parts just to like see how it all fitted together. I don't know how many people did, but
it's an interesting challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Has anyone sung in a mixed quartet?
I've sung in a mixed chorus, like we did IABS, London City Singers, and Meantime Chorus became like the London collective for IABS, and we did a couple of songs for that.
Very good you were too.
Oh, thank you very much. That was all me. But actually, I was responsible for getting all the costumes from my app, because I will claim that credit.
Fantastic. You look great. You look really good.
Yeah, it was good. It was good fun, and we were planning on, it was going to turn into something else, I think, our music director was like thinking of how we could do it, but then obviously with the last year it's not really been possible. But we do like a couple of mixed songs for our Christmas concert usually.
Yes.
It's kind of, sometimes they are written like you just combine lead and tenor and Barry and bass, and then the same for the men's chorus. And sometimes they write it in like 9-part harmony because you know, like that.
How do you find it? Did you sing the tenor part then? And how, what's the
Yeah.
difference between the mixed and the ladies?
It's well, so because I used to sing Barry, because I sang Barry first, I when I first joined London City Singers, I Mel, who was the music director at the time, kind of checked my range, and because they were short of basses and because I could hit those notes even though it wasn't particularly nice or comfortable for me, she did put me in bass for a week first, and then I said, you know, it kind of hurts a little bit, so I switched to Barry. But I'd always wanted to sing in the tenor section, because when I sing along to any music, I tend to do the upper harmony anyway, and that's like, and I think my voice just sounds nicer in the like head register than the chest register, even though I can hit the notes. But the good thing about in a mixed quartet is you don't, you know, sometimes you've got a song where it's got a like really, really high section, and sometimes it's like a sustained high section, and you've got to do a lot of warming up and a lot of practice in advance of it to like get those notes and get them sounding good. In a mixed one, obviously the notes are just, it's like a tenor line but lower, so it was a bit more like singing Barry again, but yeah.
It's interesting, a number of people have said that they first of all ended up in a part because that was what the chorus needed at the time, and I think that has happened a lot, doesn't it? It certainly happened to me when I went, I mean, I've been in Sheffield Harmony for, it must be nearly 20 years, I couldn't quite think how long, but yeah, really long time. And I went along, just answered an advert in the paper about wanting harmony singers, and I've been doing a lot of acting up to then, sometimes with singing, and in the singing I'd always done alto, actually, because I like singing harmony parts, so I'd always sung alto. And I went to the chorus and they did a sort of, you know, voice check like they do, and suggested I sing tenor because there were only 2 other tenors at the time, and I was quite surprised because I'd never really sung the high parts, and I wouldn't say I'm the highest of high tenors either, you know, and sometimes when we're singing really high stuff, I still find it a bit of a struggle, have to work really hard to get there. But I do love singing that. I do love singing the high part. I really enjoy singing harmony. I don't think I would ever really want to sing lead, actually. And if I did change from tenor, if I started finding it too hard to get to the high notes, I think baritone would be the part I would go to. Yeah, I like that harmony, but I'm not a bass. I couldn't do the bass.
Yeah, I think because I found whenever I've sung in like kind of the church, you know, soprano, alto, tenor, bass kind of things, I like singing alto because of the harmony, but then I will switch to the descant wherever possible.
Yeah.
Great. So I've got a few questions. So what do you enjoy about being a tenor? What's the best part?
The divaness.
Sorry.
Definitely the divaness. Everyone thinks you're a diva. Sometimes you can really put that to your advantage. Yeah.
We don't have that in our chorus.
The leads in our chorus.
Yeah, it's the leads.
Well, I think our oh, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say this. I'm not sure that our musical director particularly likes tenor. I think she finds it slightly offends her ear sometimes.
What part does she sing out of interest?
Well, I think, you know, not because of our lack of talent or anything. I just don't think she likes things up there. I don't know, you know. But no, well, we're definitely sometimes picked on as being the divas, which I think is unfair, but you can play up to it sometimes, you know.
Well,
Absolutely.
It's the airhead reputation, isn't it?
Absolutely. The blonde tenors. We haven't got any blonde tenors. Yeah.
we always had blonde tenors. I'm like the first tenor who's not blonde. It's like you need to dye your hair if you're going to be a tenor.
Yeah, we have a lot of blonde tenors as well. It's I'm unusual for that.
I've got blonde underneath.
Yeah. Blonde once. Yeah.
In our chorus, you just have to be tall.
Yeah. Oh, is that right?
Oh, we're not in ours, are we,
No,
Faye?
the short comings.
Yeah, we are.
I think it's
small but mighty.
Absolutely.
Small but mighty.
Yes.
Although I love singing it, I do think it's challenging. I mean, all the parts are challenging in their own way, aren't they? But that thing about not sounding too screechy, you know, I think depending on the nature of the rest of your chorus, or if you're in a quartet, the sort of strength of the other quartet members, you can often find yourself having to pull yourself back all the time, which can be a bit frustrating. Well, that's what I find. It's great. I've now found that, you know, the other people in the quartet are all really strong singers as well, so I feel I can sing out a lot more than perhaps I do in the chorus, and certainly in some of the other quartets I've been in.
You know, my first singing as a tenor, we had this arrangement of Wayfaring Stranger, and it had the chorus part, a solo part, and a quartet within it. So it was a kind of like 9-part piece. And I said, oh, I'll do the tenor in the quartet because I was trying to get in. and I thought I had to sing really quietly, and it made me sing just really flat because I was holding back. And the music director was just like, "You're sounding quite flat," like, and I was like, and he was like, "Can you sing a bit louder because I can't really hear it?" And I was like, "Oh, I thought I was supposed to sing quiet." And then as soon as I sung out, it made everyone else sing louder.
Yeah.
And it just sounded so much better. So yeah, a lot of the time it's like there's all this kind of, oh, you're not supposed to be heard too much, so you've got to stay quiet. But actually, we just have less tenors in the group.
Yeah.
So we just
absolutely
at our normal volume. Yeah.
I think leading on from that as well, I think that I quite like being a tenor. I think it increases your confidence because there are fewer of you. You've just got to step up and do it. So, I mean, we're quite fortunate now in Heartbeat because we've grown as a chorus. We've now actually got 9 tenors. I know, that's just like, wow, 9 tenors. For a long time, there were 5 or 6. And when I first joined, there were some weeks for various reasons where there were only 1 or 2 of us. And I think that really made me kind of think, right, well, if I don't do it, nobody's doing it, sort of thing, you know. So it does give you more, you have to end up with more confidence. I think it's no coincidence that everybody here, I think, has said they've sung in a quartet or are singing in quartets. You kind of don't get the choice in some ways, do you? You're always in demand. That's one good thing.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that. The amount of times you always find yourself being the only tenor for a singer or rehearsal. You have to know your part, otherwise you'll look a bit silly.
Yeah.
And you're letting yourself down, you're letting the chorus down, I think. So yeah, you have to know your part. So it kind of makes you put more into the hobby. So and so in a way we're lucky because we get more out of it that way.
Yeah, you can't cruise. You have to know the part.
Yeah.
You can't guarantee that
there's no hiding. There's no hiding anywhere.
No.
I've several times been the only tenor in our chorus and even we've been to competition like that, which was slightly scary, thinking, oh, please, I can't get a throat infection or anything, you know, the responsibility. But yeah, being so small. So I don't usually have the problem of I have to be quiet.
Yeah. That's the flip side. There is more pressure, obviously. So that's the reverse side of the coin.
I love
say
that,
something.
Yeah, it makes you like, learn things better and focus on it more. You can't be lazy being a tenor.
No.
Liz, did you want to say something?
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say, I think changing from lead to tenor was, several people said, oh, you'll find that hard because singing lead, obviously you're, you know, throwing it out there and you are being that diva sort of thing. Whereas as tenor, you know, people, as you say, sometimes have this misconception that you have to hold back. But I think what Kirsty's done is just encourage us just obviously to learn the part and sing. And because you're singing, obviously your lines like the icing on the cake, it's sitting on the top. I think you just sort of, well, I sort of feel naturally, I just sort of adjust my volume to what I feel is needed, you know, from what's underneath. And I think if you've got that really good foundation underneath, then it's almost a natural sort of thing to know how loud to be and so on. But it's very, very different. And I think I do prefer the fact that it's a harmony part to just like, you know, banging the tune out, as it were, which I'd done as I was a primary school teacher for sort of 35 years. And I think, you know, you spend your time in the classroom, you know, just like singing really loudly and sort of teaching kids all these songs. And I think the challenge of, after so many years just singing a tune to then sing harmony was was great. And I think, yeah, you know, you have to make yourself work. But again, doing, you know, being part of a quartet as well has sort of, you know, challenged, and yeah, I'm getting a lot out of it as well. So I'm really, really glad that I've changed.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes us diva-ish, though, is that I think we're silently diva-ish in the section.
No.
I think we want to be, but the leads take over a little bit. But I think it's because we learn the parts and we know it so well that, you know, like you say, the confidence does grow with that. And I think you're always then striving to be better singers rather than coasting along. As a small chorus, none of us can really get lost. But in you know, in the other sections, I suppose there is an opportunity to sit back, whereas there just isn't with us. So I think that by default makes us a little bit divas.
Yeah,
We are.
As well, that always reaches your ear first, doesn't it? I remember a coach saying to, and it wasn't because I was singing flat. A coach said to us once, "Your deaf grandmother can hear a flat tenor."
I was just going to say that I think that's the big challenge, isn't it? Because I think naturally the audience ears will go to that high part. Even if it's maybe not the loudest, it's the note that you maybe hear most, and therefore the challenge for certainly as a tenor is actually to make sure you are always on top of the note, because I think if the tenor's flat, then you know, it may be that something in the chorus that's flat, but I think it's the tenor that makes it more noticeable. So I think that's a real challenge for tenors, to sort of really listen and to keep the note above the note, as it were. Because it's so easily picked up by the ear if it's not.
Yeah.
So have you got any tips for that, to keep on top of those notes, Louise?
Well, I have to be quite honest with you. Usually, particularly in the quartet, we sing everything sharp because I'm extremely good at raising the pitch. So it's a little bit of a standing joke that I actually have to try. I think probably because I'm trying to overcompensate. So I'm very much lifting everything, as you know, we're sort of taught to do, you know, palate and eyes and everything lifted. And I think I'm definitely an overachiever in that respect, because I think maybe in the chorus you feel that you need to do that more. So then for when I come into the quartet, it's perhaps less needed, but I'm still just doing what I do naturally. So in quartet, I'm almost having to sort of lower everything, which is quite a strange feeling, because it's just not what I'm used to doing. So tips. Yeah, well, just keeping it lifted.
We do a lot of work with there's an app called TE Tuner.
Yes.
We do, and it like shows you
where you are
in it, and we even use it sometimes because you know, sometimes there are, and I can never remember which way round it is, you know, a third you have to sing sharp or flat, and like slightly to like lock the chords. So like, I mean, I end up writing on the music which note I need to sing slightly under or slightly over, so I'm always really focusing on that rather than thinking, oh, I need to stay lifted kind of thing. But yeah, we spend, when in my quartet we've done singing with just like the pitch playing, just like a note just kind of going through and singing along with it, just to, because we found that we quite often, like especially key changes are really hard to like, really easy to overachieve in sometimes, or kind of miss a little bit. But yeah, we found that every time there were like 3 key changes and we went up like a semitone too much each time, and at the end of the song I was like, oh.
Yes, the Barry is usually the one that's saying, we've definitely gone up in this song, we've definitely gone up in this song. And in fact, even because I'm on the music team and tenor section, I do warm-ups for the chorus, and I've been using my TE tuner for that, because I'm really conscious when I'm doing warm-ups that I'm taking, you know, we're going up semitones, that actually we're going up slightly more than semitones. So yeah, that is a really useful tool to use, and to try and make sure that you're keeping that pitch.
And you set it, so you can set it to Pythagorean tuning as well, can't you, on the TE, which is great. Yeah. No, it's really, and they keep revamping it as well. You get more smiley faces now. Have you seen
Oh
them?
yeah. When they changed the sad face to be a,
Yeah.
like, are you sure? Are you sure that's the right?
Did you want that? Yeah.
So any other tips for getting on top of those notes? For the other parts, let's give them some tips.
Oh,
You kind of
breath.
Sorry.
I was going to say we do a lot of
control.
semi-occluded vocal tract exercises.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we've done retreat, usually we have like Rob Mance, and we do sometimes singing through straws. And we'll like, it will even be like do a run through of the song with everyone else singing, but the tenors will be singing through straws, and it does make you think more about your breath control and vocal effectiveness.
Yeah.
I think also being relaxed, keeping this open, because it's so easy as soon as you think because you're trying to reach for that note, and I think it's thinking, I don't need to reach for it, it's there naturally, because as soon as you think I've got to get there, everything immediately sort of tenses and tightens up. So I think you just have to be much more relaxed with it, which is obviously easier said than done.
Especially on those posting notes, those really high post notes where you've got to really keep ramping it, haven't you, just to keep it in pitch, because you're still holding it for such a long time. Yeah.
I think one of the things that Kirsty said when I was when first went into tennis was, imagine you've got this unicorn's horn coming out the top of your forehead, and just send everything up through that, and don't push it, just let it go. And yeah, it was it's a good analogy. If I'm sort of thinking, oh yes, my horn, it does help.
How is that not diva-ish, being our unicorn?
Absolutely.
Yeah, unicorn. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, I've got another question for you then. What is your best tenor moment?
Ooh. I think when we're singing Christmas carols, it's quite good because we generally have the tune, don't we? And we can really sing out then. So I do like Christmas, but obviously we missed it last year, didn't we? So but for me, I love the Christmas songs, especially Carol of the Bells, Fee?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Everybody likes Carol of the Bells.
Are we talking personal moments or as a general?
Whatever.
I have a personal moment where
I was going to say I have a personal moment with her. You go first, Fiona.
Personal moment, I suppose, if the long hold at the end of "If I Give My Heart to You," 2 tenors in a chorus at a sing out. My compatriot decides that maybe she's not quite in on that, so just pulls out. So my own personal tenor moment was holding that whole thing without a breath right the way through to the end, with the bells in the church going ding dong in the background. So, hey.
I've got a similar one where we were singing "Go the Distance," and it was one of our concerts, and there was me and one other tenor, and I don't know if you know the end of it, but it's like, "I'll be right where and it's something horrific note, and her voice, she just didn't sing, like her voice just stopped. So apparently it was just me singing that.
Yay!
Hey!
Louise?
I have to say mine was probably when we competed at convention in the open division as minions, and we sang.
That was amazing.
Brilliant.
We sang the banana song, bar, 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 bar. And so that finishes with myself, who was Kevin, the minion, just singing a very loud sort of random note to finish the piece until I get pushed by my baritone colleague or minion friend. And I think that was probably my favourite tenor moment. A little bit nuts, but yeah, good.
That was brilliant. Yeah,
It was so.
that.
I still refer to Sweet Adeline's as Sweet Babylon.
I with the quartet I was singing with, we was being coached by Gail Jensick.
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce her name?
Yeah,
and I was really, really worried because we had a little bit of an audience there. And so after about 20 minutes or so, she said to me, you know, you look really worried, please try and relax. And one of the other quartet members said, oh, Esther's been really nervous all day about this. And she turned around and said, I mean, this might sound awful for the other parts, but she said, my girl, these three need a hell of a lot more coaching before anyone ever needs to correct what you're doing. And I thought, yes, I'm taking that to
That's what.
Go you.
yeah.
I have to say, I like the. I think a tenor post is always such an achievement, and there's one in My Romance at the end of that, and it just goes on and on and on and on. And a bit like you, Fiona, I think we were in competing, and I felt the other tenors kind of drop off or start to waver, and it was like, oh my god, I've got to keep this going. I've got to keep this going. But I did, and yeah, I really like singing those tenor posts at the end.
Yeah.
I always fight our bass for that. She's always like, I want the post.
No, we're the stars at the
Yeah,
post.
I've not had a tenor post in any of our songs. I don't remember.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Something to look forward to.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I had a
I've
nice,
got that to look forward to.
I had a nice moment in one of our songs, and I'm struggling to remember the title of the song, which is a bit unfortunate. But going back to that thing about tenors having to be confident, because we quite often are the only, you know, sometimes the only one singing, or maybe two of us. They wanted someone from the chorus to sing, you know, or actually sing "Let's Go Girls" at one point in the song, and I got to do that because I was kind of like, "Let's go, girls." It was good. It was a good moment, but it didn't have to be too high either.
We are show-offs, aren't we?
Yeah.
We love it.
Christmas song was, it was years ago, and our regular pitch blower wasn't there. So I said I'd do it. And I've blotted out of my mind which song it was, I think, because we blew a C to start, and I blew either the high C or the low C, the opposite of what the leads were used to. And the leads started, and then everybody else joined in along the way. So I blew this note, and unfortunately the leads just kind of made something up. It wasn't anything to do with the C that I'd blown, and it was like at least a tone, the 2 tones or something above how they should have started, and the director went with it. I'm thinking, oh my god, I know what's coming at the end. Massive tenor high post. Oh well, and it's one of those moments you just have to kind of trust yourself to be able to do it. And I could feel everybody else in the chorus that was the same problem, haven't they? But we made it.
That's it, though, isn't it? You just step up. You're just like,
Yeah.
okay, right. It's going to go higher.
I kind of started it. It's my fault, so whatever happens.
We like a challenge, don't we?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I wonder if that's why they don't let the tenors loose with the pitch pipes.
It could be.
I do the pitch.
Do you? So Mariane, I've got a challenge for you then. Next time you blow the pitch, see if you can sneak it up just a semitone higher.
Sometimes I have done that as a joke before, and I don't think there's anyone with perfect pitch in the chorus, but sometimes we've started singing, especially convention songs where you've got one following another, and like we got to the end of the song and I was like, I didn't blow the pitch at the beginning of that, and then like I blow it and it's just like, oh, we were in tune anyway. Like I think you do get used to where a song sits. Once you blow a pitch and people are like, that's not right, like, and they can tell, especially if it's like really off. But if we have had songs that I think we did Good Morning Baltimore one year, and like the lowest bass note, it wasn't like meaty enough basically. So they were like, just put the pitch up and see. And the tenors were like, we already sing quite high all the way through this song. And yeah, annoyingly, it just sounded so much better at that higher pitch. So we just had to do the whole
Go with it, yeah.
Yeah, you just have to go with it. You don't have a choice, do you? You just have to adapt.
But it's so weird that you can literally just make the chorus sing whole tone higher just by blowing that first note different.
I have
baritones go, no.
I have a bit of a funny story actually about the blowing the pitch. was at a convention weekend. It was the Afterglow, and you know how big that is. And myself and 2 other tenors were sat on one of the settees in the foyer, the hotel, on the Saturday night. And obviously people walking by saying, "Oh, 3 tenors, are you going to give us a song?" You know what they do. And eventually someone else said it, and we didn't have a pitch. I turned around and blew in my bottle that I was drinking. And it happened to be the start note to Anthem. The three of us started, you know, the four started singing that. The rest of the people that were sat around joined in pitch. Glenn came, because I was in Leigh City at the time. Glenn came over, his drink went down, arm started, and everybody in the foyer and the pub was singing Anthem beautifully in pitch. It was a fantastic night.
That's great.
You can always rely on Anthem, can't you?
Oh yes.
I'm thinking you can always rely on a bottle.
Yes. And you know, in this household, the pitch note to Anthem is called Spurn-off Sharp now.
Oh,
I was drinking at the time.
I quite like that experiment. Maybe we should have a go at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So easy to hide in your pocket though.
Oh, that would be amazing for like one of the comedy quartets to come out and blow the pitch on a bottle instead.
yeah, it would.
Great
We've done it
idea.
on a digestive
Oh.
biscuit. We've done it on a digestive biscuit. A bottle is no, you know.
and what note was your digestive biscuit, Fiona?
But then
What note was the digestive biscuit?
I honestly can't remember. I have to ask Hilary. She was blowing underneath the digestive biscuit. I can't remember.
Like blowing on a blade of grass.
Yeah.
You could have your bottle for your, I don't know, ballad, and your blade of
Yeah,
grass.
absolutely. It's all worth considering in this newly named quartet. You know, it's.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. And I guess if someone new came to the chorus, how could you persuade them to become a tenor? What would you say to them?
We don't have space ever, so we try and dissuade it.
That's right. I'm sorry, you can't.
Yeah. We're a closed
Prove
section at the
yourself worthy after
Yeah.
2 years of singing baritone, and then you might be allowed.
Actually, it was interesting because when I auditioned for Surrey, actually there weren't spaces in the tenor. So Jenny, our MD at the time, she was really trying for baritones and leads, and so I was singing, and it was so clear that I was not going to fit into either of those sections. She's like, "Oh, okay, go on then. You'll have to be a tenor because that's just so naturally where my voice is, and I just don't have this middle range." So I think I was quite lucky that even though it was closed at the time, I did actually get in because I think she thought that's probably all I could sing. So, but yeah, no, we're the same. We have a full tenor section, so it's usually we have to try and dissuade people that they want to sing it, even if they have got a lovely tenor voice at the moment, which is quite sad in some ways.
Yeah, it is a shame.
But then we encourage them to sing in quartets. So we know if there's a lead who's got a really good high range, then that's a great person to take into a quartet, because there's never enough tenors to go round the chorus for quartet. So I think that's a really good opportunity for them.
So what we're saying is that you really have to prove that that's the only part that you can sing.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, be rubbish at every other range.
Yeah.
I guess what we do is we take them on and then try and bolster the other parts to compensate that. But actually we've never really had more than 4 tenors at any one time. And that's the maximum that we seem to.
How big's your chorus?
32. I mean, that's enough.
Yeah, because we're like 20. We're usually between 25 and 30, and we've gone from like 2 to 3. Like we usually have 2 or 3 tenors, but now we've got 4 at the moment. It's a lot easier in lockdown, I have to say, because we've got like 4 or 5 new people who've joined in the last year. But it's a lot easier when you're recording things for virtual to just turn down the parts and turn up the parts. So when we go back to like actual live singing, we probably need to like beef up the bass section again. But we try and stick to like 3 tenors, I think.
we have 68 in our chorus, and we only have 4 tenors at the moment. So you're talking about pulling back. It did make me feel,
So basically, if you want to be a tenor, you have to join Phoenix.
Yeah, at the moment you have to. Not any tenor,
No, it has to be.
We're still quite protective of that beautifully formed section.
And short. You have to be short.
You have to be short. Yeah. It's all about 5'6". You're stuck.
We have blonde. I mean, we've got 2 blondes. 50% of the tenor section is blonde. And I think the new one has got blonde highlights. So yeah.
Well, that's alterable, isn't it? What colours you fancy at the time. You could have pink tenors. That would be quite fun. Wouldn't it?
Yeah, we should try that, Bea.
Yeah, we did that one. Yeah. We'll turn up with turquoise blue hair.
Yeah.
There was one thing I would like to ask, which is something that always annoys me at chorus, probably, and I don't know whether I'm alone. And if you ever do it in your chorus, when you're learning in parts. So normally start with the lead. Down to
oh yes.
Barry.
Oh yes.
All right, stick it in on top.
Yeah. Everybody else has had about 15 goes at it.
You never get quite the same attention as everybody else, because everyone knows, because you're only small, you all will know your part and you all will be able to just stick it in on top.
They do that.
They save the best till last.
Well,
there is generally a lot of sitting around.
Yeah. So it's not just me, everybody gets it, don't they?
Yeah.
But I'm interested to know if people's music directors, what part they sing, because Simon, our music director, sings bass.
Yeah.
He clearly, like, when he writes arrangements and stuff, it's like
they all get the good bit.
But like you do end up having like more of a focus on some of the other parts that are bigger, because they might be more complex. But with 1 or 2 tenors, it's
sings tenor.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Roz is a bass, and she valiantly tries to sing the tenor part sometimes as a sort of.
Oh, I actively encourage Simon to try and sing the female tenor part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that particularly what Fiona said, when you're learning a tag, they're teaching the chorus a tag, and they go, okay, we'll start with bass, and then they do bass, and then they do baritone, and then they go, okay, bass and baritone together, and then they do baritone and lead together, and then bass and baritone and lead together, and then they're just like, tenors, this is your part, right? Okay, job done. And can we have another go at that? And you're standing there the whole time thinking, my part is either going to be one really boring note or a whole load of really complicated twiddles. Which is it going to be?
You find that with coaching as well. I find that, again, it's mainly the basses that get the attention, not the tenor.
Well, we quite often have Sandy Merrill, and she's a tenor, so that's all good. She gets it.
Good. They're just concentrating where they need to concentrate. Like Esther
That's what we tell ourselves. Yeah.
I think with us, because Kirsty's a tenor, I think she is a lot more aware of the fact that sometimes tenors just get left. But I think she does a pretty good job of giving an even share out to time to the different parts. But I mean, I've not been tenor for long enough to really experience, should I say, other coaches. I suppose I did notice when we had Kim Wonders coaching back in February? Yeah, just before lockdown. And a lot of it was bass orientated there, and and lower down. But we just, I guess if we know our part, then we just do it.
I guess with like one of the most important things with like barbershop is you've got to get that bass foundation and the cone and all of that. So I guess maybe that is why it gets more of a focus, because that needs to be there before you can.
Yeah. And I think if they focus on those other parts, the tenor kind of automatically starts sounding better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because of that foundation. So you can see why it happens, but you do end up.
It does get boring. Yeah. Especially if you're blowing the pitch, because you can't even leave.
Where people stand in the chorus, like Do you ever get stood next to another tenor?
No, there aren't enough of us. I once got stood on
No.
the front row and I absolutely hated it because as a tenor, I think you feel very exposed on
Oh,
the
no,
front
I
row.
love it on the front row.
Do you like it on the front row? Oh,
Everybody behind you, but I'm not allowed
Yeah.
there anymore because we're such a
No,
small
I'm not.
group.
no. I'm happy sort of second, anything but actual front row. You know, it just feels like because that I think, you know, the tenor line, somebody else was saying, always kind of stands out in the song. It just does. I think your ear goes to it, and to have that right at the front of the chorus, I think I just found it a bit uncomfortable, really. And I felt
Yeah,
like
I used to
always
be on
having
the
to
front.
hold back. Yeah.
I used to be on the front row, and I had to make a decision when I went to tenor whether I stayed as baritone and stayed on the front row, or I changed to tenor. And because I love the part so much, I come off front row.
Yeah.
But I diva at the top instead.
Yeah. I quite like these.
Certainly do.
Yeah.
My main thing is not next to another tenor. I mean, I don't usually have that problem with there's only two of us at the moment, but not next to another tenor.
No,
I think
never.
Oh,
no,
we do.
we're
Yeah.
always like we our riser positions are always really like we do like voice the row you boat together, and we have like the order that we sing from like bright to dark sound.
Yeah.
Placed like really meticulously placed.
Yeah.
where we stand, and it's always a combination of like voice placement and part that you sing as well.
Yeah, but we do have
Nothing
Heartbeat.
stands out.
Heartbeat does have two tenors on the front row because they're really good at dancing as well.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So they don't
Yeah.
do as much singing.
Right, but we do have quite a few on the back. I'm usually towards the front because we've done the row your boat thing that Mariane was just mentioning, and I'm about 15 foot to the dark side compared to everybody else. So I'm actually quite near the front, which is relatively unusual.
Yeah.
But I'm not on the front row. Good Lord, no.
We have two little clusters of because there's 7 tenors in Surrey, and we're about 50. So we sort of have 2 little clusters of 2 or 3 either side. I tend to be more in the middle, but yeah. So we do have tenors together in a little group.
I actually prefer them to be scattered. I like to hear the other voice parts more. I don't particularly want to hear my own voice part. I know some of the other voice parts, they prefer to hear more of their own, but I like to be able to hear others.
Yeah, I do.
I don't think it's I find it's quite useful having like tenors and basses together, because a lot of
Octaves.
we are like an octave or a couple of octaves, like singing the same note, and you just need to make sure those are locked. And it's really interesting when you move around and you can suddenly hear people from different parts. So you're like, oh, that's what that part sounds like.
I'm on the front row, and we've got 2 tenors on the front row. Given that we've only got 4, that's quite a lot of the chorus. But it does work, and I don't find that it took some time to get used to not holding back, but I don't find I have to hold back now. And it seems to sound okay. So I don't think people should be sort of put off being on the front row.
Oh no.
As a tenor.
No, you're right, Lisa. I'm on the front row in my chorus. I think partly because I'm really short, I won't be able to see everyone's shoulders if I was on the risers. But I think I've had to prove myself maybe that I won't ruin the sound, being so far forward and being too loud, maybe. I'm not sure. But it does work, and it can work.
Yeah.
It's just being sensitive on those high notes and not belting them out, isn't it? So
yeah. And also, if you do a move where you come out, to know that you're separated from your chorus, and to adjust what you're singing at that time. Yeah, so really being aware.
That is interesting, actually, because they'll never, for us, put the tenors to come right at the front. It's normally the leads. The tenors will be more at the back of the front row, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it is those high notes that are difficult, because the thing I find most difficult always about singing tenor is singing the very high notes quietly. And I just think that's actually technically a really difficult thing to do. So yeah, it's just something to be aware of, I guess, for people who want to sing tenor, is that's something that really takes a lot of practice and a lot of breath control, and at that high end.
Yeah, and to like when you sing choral, you tend to have quite a lot of vibrato, and then it's like please take that out. We don't want that.
It's also trying to get some resonance in those really, really high notes, which is so hard, isn't it, when it's just in your head voice. You still want to try and keep that barbershop sound going even when you're really, really high. I think that's quite a challenge.
I thought it was quite interesting at EIS. Did anyone else go to EIS days? And Class Ring were there, and their tenor, Michaela, written her names, I can't remember, Slamford. Yeah. I went to their masterclass, and I was really interested to hear that she doesn't feel she's a particularly high tenor. So they actually deliberately choose songs or bring things down so that she can actually sing still with resonance at that top end. And I thought that was really interesting, because I suppose I assumed that tenors that sing in a real champion quartet would just be people who can go miles up effortlessly. But it's interesting to think that you can maneuver things a little bit to suit your own voice and the voice of the other people, well, both in your quartet but also potentially in a chorus.
I'm more soprano 2 than soprano 1, and I always have been. And so in the quartet it's quite difficult, because we're all quite, I can't sing a D and an E consistent, like all the time, all the way through the piece, and the bass can't sing down to a D consistently all along, for the whole song. So we have to be really picky about the music that we choose, because otherwise neither the bass or the tenor, it's the extremes, isn't it, are going to be in their best place.
Oh, that's so interesting you've said that, and quite reassuring, because we're learning shallow at the moment, and the tenor part in shallow is on the E so much, and I find that much harder to do than if we were going up to a G even, and it's strange. I find it really hard to get that E sort of consistently pure. Different voices have different glitches, I guess, don't they? But
I agree with that though. If you I mean, just one E somewhere would be fine, absolutely no problem, wouldn't it? But staying there for a long time, that really does make a difference. Yeah, definitely more of a challenge than just visiting somewhere.
Do your pets have any preferences with your high notes? Because my cat cannot stand my singing.
No, mine can't either.
No.
I don't have any pets, but my husband doesn't enjoy tenor section practice at our house. Let me just say that.
You could say,
mine are the same.
Could be worse. I could be a baritone to your husband,
He's tone deaf, so he probably wouldn't know which part was singing what, quite frankly.
When meme was hysterical. Have you seen it recently? There's a man sat outside on a chair, and he's saying, "Well, here I am sitting outside the house because my wife's singing inside, and now they know that I'm not killing her."
That's cruel.
I think that just about sums us up, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So that concludes us. Join the tenor section.
All right. I think that's it then, guys.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It's been lovely to speak to you all and meet you all, our fellow tenor unicorn divas.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to remember that tip.